Okay, good morning, Rebbe. Uh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
And I've seen you twice in the last couple of days, last week walking because I've been working on the beach lately,
Uh,
so I've seen you out there. Let's go to the Sifra Dinim where we left off yesterday because we never really got started. Let me make sure that I know where we're at. Okay, so I think that we just tried uh, here the beer yakar, which is number Aleph. I think we started to do that, and then we moved on. Okay, so it says Bir Yakar Sham. So this is the remark. It seemed to me that the last time was really on the negative side. He was talking about I think, about the klipo. Here he said Bir Khan Lifidarko now. The Ire Khan Behirshtalshlo Shadinim the Kedusha. He says the development of the dinim of Kedusha, Ishtalshlos really means as it's moving downwards towards us. Sheheba Bekin is Dag Besimin Tahara the Sanper. So it occurred to me, I just couldn't, with all the different explanations, is that this is still talking about the bison and the type of these fish. And exactly the core of this to tie it together, I don't really quite have it, but here is more information. He says, the Kedusha Sheheba Bekin is Dag Besimin Tahara Besanper. It's the concept of a dog tahor who has this fin. So now we're talking about the breaking of these dinim shall dogim halalu. Now he said the dogim here we're talking about are kosher. So there's dinim there. So there's other shona, and he also said that these are dinim de kedusha. Hine so the din hazera behusod called dogim shabayam. It's the same thing as the secret of all of the fish in the sea. Shena ember of yivra of elokim es ateninim magadolim. Now that was a broad statement there. He says who's so called a tall dogim shabayam, and then he says the yivra elokim es ateninim magadolim. So this is also the dinim, the dinim agadolim. He says the din. And these dinim are able to grab a hold of the kodesh. But they're very severe. And so this is the secret of the extension of the roots of the chitzonim b'soch kedusha. Whom is alam built in nira. It's there, but it's not able to be seen. I know Shahoya Beso HaKodesh, that it was in the mix of the Kodesh, Bedin Kosher, and unseen. I'm not sure really what it is that he's focusing on. He's talking about inspiration, so he wants to say there's some kind of a din infiltrated in such a way into Kedusha. I'm not Kodesh Baruch Hu, but also Tikkun Goda, where the Kodesh Baruch Hu did a big tikkun. The Highness Sod Ata Ratzansa Rosh of the bison. So he said, what? That you crush the head of the bison, the snake, of the fish, of this big fish. So the yin is like this: Ki hayam hu malchus v'hi binas of the yam. Let's just understand is malchus, another word for and malchus v'hi bina. Let's see again. Ha'inyan ki hayam hu malchus v'hi bina. So either Malchus or Malchus is Bina, but I guess going on, he said, so the din ku lebayazim biyam magadol Bina. So he says that this is the fish. Is he telling me that the fish is another word for Bina? I'm not sure what he's saying here. The Bayasa biyam magadol, which is Bina biyeshlo, so the Malchus, and it has a secret in Malchus. So all of this that he wants to put Bina together with Malchus, I understand it, but I don't really see the connection. So the Lo is a din. So the who's so the Hagas Adinin. So the secret, and we're talking to here about, at least to some extent, about the snake, is the way the dinner works. Unless she aged though Roche, but let's understand it has a head, whose shorish and its root, whose shorish of mismatek, the also shorish mismatek, and that root, they sweeten the root. Behind the onrim ata ritzatza rosh leviathan. What does that mean? The hind of the sod rosh mismatek beruach achayim el yonim. So all of these different ideas he's pouring in here. Okay, going on. So these are all a bunch of different clips. It's like showing doors, like you're in a big room, and there's a bunch of doors you could go through, and he shows you what's inside the doors, but we don't go into the doors yet. So here we have the concept of the fish, and going on. So he said the hind episode rosh v'hamtokos beruach v'chaim al yonim. So that is that the head of this, the root of it, is able to be sweetened by this ruach chaim that come from up above. Shahachverahim mamtekes, because chachma sweetens it. V'chavabina mismatekes, and then she becomes sweetened. So Barosh of the Leviathan Zeh tried to understand what is the Leviathan. He says naked b'chalon. He says naked b'chalon yeshlo. It has an opening. The fish has an opening. Shirosho rotzuts. So he said because its head was, I guess, pierced. Kadesh Derek Osach of naked Yavaru Besod Haaras Achachba Barachmim. This is how you get the Ha'ara of Chachma, the shine in Rachmim. Mamtig din habina, and it sweetens the din of bina. Umiyad, immediately kochel mischalter misne hayam nachu. So they read the word umiyad kochel mischalish. It's the strength of this din immediately because of this opening, because we've been able to pierce the head of the snake. Here he says it calls a fish. Miyad kochel mischadesh b'fnei upenei hayam nachu, in the face of the sea, I guess the surface of the sea, quieted down. So here's a statement that tells you pshat. He said, I think maybe, he says, so he means the snake is the source of the dinim that are found in Bina. Kach mamish sod hadinim amispashtim namata besod shaviris rosh hadinim alamayim. So you have the same thing as the secret of the dinim that's spread down below besod shaviris rosh hadinim alamayim, which is the concept of breaking the head on the water. What does that mean? The hainu sod harosh v'hanekev. This is the concept of the secret of this head, the head of the dinim in Bina, which is the Leviathan. Is that possible? That's what he's saying. The hainu sod harosh v'hanekev. This is the secret of the head and the opening in the head. Shaderek hanechav harachmim meirim b'taninim. So he's drawing a picture of the dinim that are found in kedusha. He said earlier that they're not seen. They're there, but they're not seen. So here, the chesed that's coming from up above, which now he wants to say it's chokhmah, coming out through chokhmah, pierces a hole in the head of this of the dinim in bina, and then he says a rachamim and it causes rachamim to shine into the fish. So shlosh rishonos, which is the secret of the gar. Now I'm not sure exactly what that means either. The hainu rosh tanim atahor. Now we're talking about the head of the snake. That's or the big fish. Either one he's talking about. I'm not sure if they're interchangeable in this idea. So the hainu of rosh tanim atahor mismatek dino, and so it goes into the head of this tanim. Now he says these are dinim. Originally he said they're dinim the kedusha. He says that it comes in the mismatek dino adkan. So a lot of different ideas, trying to put them together, but everybody has different ideas. So let's see what else. This is the language of the Zohar. B'chol Yaoro, he says, B'chol Yaora v'Yaora Oslo b'Shad Chad Nina. In every single channel, I'm not really 100% clear what he means by the channels, but he says, B'chol Yaora v'Yaora, he says, Oslo b'Shad Chad Nina, there goes, and there swims through that channel one big fish, or one snake. Ve'inam tesha, and there actually turns out to be there are 9 of them. Kol chad b'chad nakiv nukba b'resha, each one of them makes an opening, a hole in its head. So he's talking about the fish all have a hole in there. Kama da'at ama, like you say, like that. Shivarta rosha taninin, that you broke the heads of the snakes. Afilu hai tanim hagodol chochichu. That's the same thing true of the big snake. Now, like I said, it's okay. I got you back again. Okay, so there's a lot said there, but especially because it's a special derech. I'm not sure how to. He's talking about the dinim kedusha, and the fact that Chochmah has a way to open up those dinim and sweeten them. We're still talking about though the shtalshlus downwards. So I'm not sure exactly all that we got there. Let's go over to the next one. And this next one says Pirish Marie Sarok. So Rabbi Bira Bekan the Fidarkos, and I was explaining Shenechlach Koach Achivya, so that the strength that the chivya has been weakened. Let's just go kasher rasach kedusha. His galus tipus kedusha sheniklahu b'kli haku b'sod kultra b'kichvoy sanpir ba'advoy. So this is a positive one. And he says v'rasach kedusha, his gala tipus kedusha. So here the snake is weakened as a result of the revelation of the tipos that are of Kedusha Shenikla B'Kli Haku, with a Kli he's calling where the Kedusha is gathered together, Kultra B'Kichvoy Sanpiru Ba'advoy, Ein Sham. So now we're talking about the humbling down of the Chivya by the way of being exposed to Kedusha, and that's the secret of the breaking of the hat. And this is what it says over there. So he says, so this is a principle that we've seen before. So he says the concept of, and it's really similar to what we were learning in the Or Yakar. It's similar that the light itself is able to beat down and make a hole in the chivya. Question of what is the chivya? Where is it? What are we dealing with over there? We're dealing with kedusha. So he says shenizgalu tipim shel kedusha nechlash koach achivya, which he's apparently postulating is working on the side of tuma. Az nizgabra kedusha kenegda, then it overcomes the kedusha overcomes the chivya. V'yatzu shal hovisa, and its flame comes out. But huksa, and it strikes beresha the hivya, and shenish beresha. The shav hashalvisa zu osa hakoach shalukadusha. So women and shav means it draws in, that is this flame, this spark. The osa hakoach shalukadusha shachosa koletis hachivya, which the, let me just get the words together again. V'shav shalvusa zu so it draws into itself that power of the kedusha, the energy of the kedusha, hakivya, which was which was gathered together by the snake, Shuhu Koch Erech Arich Kalmur, which is the Koch of Arich, as we have said. Now, I'm not sure what Arich is talking about. So this the flame comes from where? It comes from Malchus, which is called the Yama Rabba. Kamosh Amar Zohar, Pasuk, this Zohar says like this: Hayam Hagodav Arach of Yadayim. So he says, what? The great sea and the breadth of the hand. Behind the Amar is Bereshi Kabamayim the Yama Rabba. So the Yama Rabba is some kind of big chesed or chokhmah, which is said in the previous one, Kolomar. Al Tita Lomer, don't make this mistake. Lomer, the Isba Reshe, that phrase, break the head, B'mayim Matikim, with sweeter waters, the Haida Chachasad Gemurim. Allah, don't think that that's what we're talking about, that we're talking about these Chasadim Gemurim. Allah B'mayim Diyama Rabba, the Hainu Malchus Sheyesh Begam Kain Dinim, which has dinim as well. Not easy to understand all the parts of that for me. So let's go over and let's look, see if we can get down a little bit lower and look at number Kaf. Number Kaf went on the phrase, he said in the black print, Oznis Gavrach Kedusha Kenegda, the Yotzes Shal Hovisa. So this is the first time we see that the flame comes out from Kedusha. V'huksa Beresha Dehivya. All right, back again. It goes out into the head of the snake. So it swallows up the power of the kedusha, which was gathered together by the hivya, which is, in other words, the hivya here is tame. He talked about the arich of the klipa. Let's look at number Ray Bezer, number Kaf, Ray Bezer, Od Bedivrik Maris Saruk, Besefer the Muli Atzilus. Okay? Behuva Gan Besefer Gala Amikta, he said, Besefer Alikutim, Bezel Shano, he says, Ki Ikra HaKedusha Shaletet V'Rosh Shal HaKlipa, so the main part of Kedusha, let's go to the root of Kedusha, he says it controls the head of the klipa, the hapir below mepiv. Now let me see if I'm having trouble seeing this. Lahasir, that's the word lahasir, to remove below what is swallowed up from its mouth. So it sits there on top of the snake and tries to get into it. That's what we've been talking about a little bit. So he says, so Shaviva's Rosha to dinim al namayim. So when we talk about the breaking of the head of the snake on water, Kolomer, Shemishaver Rosha Klipos al Iske Hamayim. So he says that because of the actions of the water, it breaks the head of the head. What's it of the klipa? Shehem Tipim Shal Chesed. Habuloim Barosha Klipa, these therefore are drops of chesed which are swallowed up into the head of the klipa. Well, got this thing going here again. I don't know where that comes from. So he says, Shehem Tipim Shal Chesed, Habuloim Barosha Klipa. Now, this is the concept he's saying of Isbareshe. And all three of the Perushim up to this time, or all the two of them, seem to be talking about the same thing. Maybe from different places. So again, the word shehem tipim shel chesed the beluyim berosha klipa hanikros teninim, and then he says that when you look at the word teninim, it's chaser. Now we had a whole drush on that, missing the male or the female. That was a drush where he talked about castrating the male, which is another door to go into what he was talking about, or neutralizing the female. Something like that, and not really explained any further, or just a little bit, trying to get understanding. So here he says the dinim chaser, so I wrote it missing one of the yudin. The horosh, the rosha klipa razos, to really reference this, the head of this klipa. Hainu sha'amar Rashbi. This is what Rashbi says. All of Shalom, and he says this in the Zohar of the Parshas Bo El Paro. Pasuk Hanel Ba'atzmo. Ki Elo HaTaninim Yesh Neket Baroshan. The Taninim all have a hole in their heads. The Ramos base kibble sheyesh dechem baroshan, to tell you that they all have a base kibble in their heads. The shov hashefa me'ekev gedusha, to be able to draw the shefa from the, he says, the hole, the heel rather, the bottom of kedusha ad kan. Okay, so again, actually these things are all really kind of adding up the same kind of way. You have a bundling of dinim. Somehow related to the concept of the Taninim, of the Leviathan. So, and there's a hole that's broken in the head in order to be able to sweeten this. The Or Yakar was talking about, he was talking about the dinim of, he's beginning to talk about dinim de kedusha. Here it sounds like you have tipa, you have klipa. Right at the head of the klipa is where you see this kedusha, or the bottom of this kedusha. I don't know, it's trying to break through the head and the opening. Let's do one more. Number Gimel. Bir Shani Chuva Beperish Marisa Roksha Sham. The Zelda Shona, this is what he says. Pirush Acher Pirush Arav. He says all of the Shalom. He says the phrase is Nishbar Isbar Reshe B'mayim Diyama Rabba. What's it mean? Ritzon Lomar it gets strong enough that it starts penetrating. I think he means malchus, which is salt water, bitter water. Behind the remez latoka v'dinim, this is a remez to the power of the dinim, because armor b'sefer sefer. If it would remain as it was in the strength of its, and he's talking here about the klipa again, or the Leviathan on the side of Tuma. Afilu hochi is beresh, but even so, we're afraid that it's going to overcome this. Even so, its head is broken. The sibeth shemizgalim kitra bekitrui katfrishni. So he says in the secret that we say we have all of these things done, as we explained, but there's the key to the so we understand that everybody seems to be using the kitra, the kitroi, and it slightly changes in that language. He says seems to be some kind of a bundling. So either a bundling of kedusha or a bundling of dinim, different things, different places. Okay, let's switch out of this and go